Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Malik Haj, and this is We Reflect the Light. Welcome. This is where we look at current events that are taking place in the world today through the lens of the unsealed scriptures of the Bible. That gives us detailed information on what is taking place and what is going to take place in the world from the unsealed scriptures of the Bible. Sisters and brothers, we are at war. Sisters and brothers, this presentation we're going to be speaking on the chief demon, Farrakhan, the son of perdition. Now, let's get right into it. We're going to do this. I'm going to do this a little different than usual. Sisters and brothers, Thessalonians 2:3-7 states, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshiped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Sisters and brothers, let's finish verse 5-7. "Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things, and now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of the lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way." Excuse me, brothers and sisters. Now, sisters and brothers, let no one deceive you, meaning that someone or they will set out to deceive us or deceive our nation, deceive our people. Meaning that someone, so Let no one deceive you, means that someone is going to try to deceive us. Someone is out to deceive us. And it says, let no one deceive you by any means. For that day will not come unless the falling away comes first. So, this day that will come, the falling away had to come first. And the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. So, sisters and brothers, we have to understand what the falling away was or is. Now, the falling away, sisters and brothers, is when the Nation of Islam was destroyed. When the Nation of Islam was no more. And the members or the saints was given the Balalians. And the Nation of Islam was beheaded from leadership. Now, sisters and brothers, this happened immediately after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was taken out the way. He was not there restraining those that were plotting against the messenger and the Nation of Islam, our nation. And immediately after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was taken, the one with that was considered by the saints. To carry on was more than likely the Louis Farrakhan, the national spokesperson of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, sisters and brothers, that's not what happened. Louis Farrakhan, instead of taking leadership, says that he didn't want to cause a war. However, sisters and brothers, in the case of standing up for what's right and the truth, if there's a war, then war it should have been. However, Louis Farrakhan allowed not just Louis Farrakhan, there was others, but he had say. He was the national spokesperson. But, however, let's say that Wallace D. Muhammad, who was outcast or he was an exile by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from the Nation of Islam for speaking against the supreme wisdom lessons, for speaking against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being the messenger of God, for speaking against Master Farrakhan Muhammad being the God. Now, sisters and brothers, he was exiled for these actions. He had not committed it once, twice. He was thrown out more than once, more than twice, but he was exiled and thrown out, banned from the Nation of Islam by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad indefinitely. However, he was allowed back in, and he immediately began to speak against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the God Master Farrakhan Muhammad, the supreme wisdom lessons, and along with Louis Farrakhan, the son of perdition, they beheaded the Nation of Islam. How did they behead the Nation of Islam? Sisters and brothers, Wallace claimed that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the legal owner, or the Nation of Islam assets were belonged to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. However, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't have the Nation of Islam's assets in his name. The Nation of Islam's assets were in the name of the Nation of Islam. So, Wallace claimed no, that the assets belonged to his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And if you read the counterintelligence program, the Countel Pro, which is that in which you can look up by checking and in the NOIs, or you can just pull up Countel Pro Nation of Islam. However, in the Countel Pro, the concern was the assets of the Nation of Islam, and how their concern was to who owned the property, who the assets and the money belonged to, and how they could get these assets and properties and money into probate court. It was a thing that they needed, that they set an objective, that was one of their objectives set out to complete, so that they can disconnect the Nation of Islam assets and grant access. What happened was they granted the access to the properties, to the funds and properties to Wallace in probate court. So Wallace achieved access to the Nation of Islam's net worth of 80 million in properties and assets, and $80 million worth of assets through probate court, which made the $80 million that belonged to the members Wallace stole them. That was theft. So Wallace claimed the assets, and it was split between the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's let's say children and family and whatnot. However, Louis Farrakhan, who had say, was the national spokesperson of the Nation of Islam, could have challenged Wallace's claim and shared, no, these assets do not belong to the Nation of Islam. I mean, to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. These assets, this $80 million in assets, belongs to the members, the Nation of Islam. However, he didn't do that. He kept his mouth quiet, and Wallace gained access to the $80 million of assets of the Nation of Islam. Now, sisters and brothers, Wallace and Louis Farrakhan started the Balalians. Pushing Sunnism. And got rid of the Nation of Islam. It was beheaded. It was no more. That's the falling away, sisters and brothers. So, what did this falling away, what really was being taken there from us, sisters and brothers? Our economic development, our freedom, our justice, and our equality that we had built for ourselves to rely on ourselves was given away and destroyed, which destroyed, took away our nation. It took our independence away. It took away our ability to do for self. Our banks, our stores, all the things that we had built as a nation, as a people that we depended on was taken. So the jobs that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam produced for the original black man and woman was taken away. The schools that were being produced for our children was taken away. The homes, the apartment buildings, the banks that was produced by the Nation of Islam was no longer available for the original black man and woman. So our food, clothing, and shelter was stripped from us. And we were sent back into the devil's world to depend on the devil. The devil had jobs. Jobs that the devil and his people had. So we had to go begging and asking for jobs from the devils. Brothers that were being reformed, that the Nation of Islam was pulling out of the penal system, giving jobs, giving them what they needed to be free, what they needed to have to remain free. They had to have a job, somewhere to live. All these things was being produced by the Nation of Islam for our people. Sisters and brothers, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had built an economic system for the original black man and woman of America to bring us together as a people, to depend on each other, for our success, employing our own, providing the necessities for ourselves as a nation should do, giving us, providing every aspect of self-preservation, every aspect of doing for self. Sisters and brothers, a place where we could love and be ourselves at. Where we could look to self to produce and provide and protect self for self. Sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan and Wallace destroyed the Nation of Islam. Sisters and brothers, to understand what the weight of what this meant for the Nation of Islam and what that meant for the original black man and woman then and now. How that the destruction of the Nation of Islam has affected the original black man and woman as a people. Sisters and brothers, and the falling away took place first, excuse me. What they are enemies set to achieve first is to take our freedom, to take our economic, our jobs, our wealth, our food, our clothing, our independence. This was taken by destroying the Nation of Islam. Sisters and brothers, Wallace D. Muhammad shared that we didn't need our own. that our enemies, which evidently he didn't consider was our enemies, had everything they had already produced and had jobs and businesses, and that we was to use what the devils had. We didn't need our own. And sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan, who is the man of sin, the son of perdition, also had the same mind frame. They set out together to take down the Nation of Islam, to get a piece of the money. Now, sisters and brothers, so this is the falling away that will come first. Then, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. He will be revealed after the Nation of Islam was beheaded, after the Nation of Islam was destroyed. Now, sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan sits in Allah's temple, claiming that he is God, that he's the Messiah. Let's go further back than that. Louis Farrakhan, after assisting Wallace Muhammad in destroying the Nation of Islam, claimed that he would rebuild the Nation of Islam. Sisters and brothers, after the Nation of Islam was destroyed and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, that lets us know that Louis Farrakhan is the man of sin, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshiped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he's God. Now, sisters and brothers, all right, hold up, sisters and brothers. Excuse me. I want to bring this out a little bit. It's, using it being so. All right, sisters and brothers, Legion. Here we have a picture of Louis Farrakhan with his birth name, birth initials, Louis Eugene Grounds, who has turned the NOI backwards, Legion. Here's his birth father, Percival Clark, his Caucasian father, who is also a Portuguese Jew from Barbados. Louis Farrakhan is the seed of a Caucasian white man who is a Portuguese Jew, making Louis Farrakhan a black-faced Caucasian white man who is also a Portuguese Jew. Now, you are the seed of your father, sisters and brothers. Louis Farrakhan has the nature of his devil father. Louis Farrakhan, sisters and brothers, is an agent. He's working on behalf of his devil father. He's the son of perdition, the son of hell, the son of the synagogue of Satan. The scripture lets us know who the son of perdition is. It lets us know that he's sitting in the temple of God, that he's exalting himself above all that is called God and that is worship. And he's sitting in the temple of God claiming that he's God. So, sisters and brothers, we know that Louis Farrakhan is the one sitting in Elijah's seat and have been for over 42 years. Now, sisters and brothers, the COINTELPRO, this government, agenda had objectives that in reading the Counter Pro, what they had to achieve to destroy the Nation of Islam. And they had to achieve sitting someone inside of the Nation of Islam to carry out their objectives. Basically, setting up a mole inside of the Nation of Islam to control or rule the Nation of Islam, to be the leader inside of the Nation of Islam. And he had to keep the Nation of Islam from seeking freedom, from seeking their own, from wanting their own, from wanting to be separated, and to keep them from unifying. Together, wanting to do for self or cheat. Or so let me say it like this, sisters and brothers. The objectives of the government, Counter Pro, Louis Farrakhan has achieved every one of the objectives. Sisters and brothers, and I'm going to do this over. It's and go, and show the counterintelligence objectives, what the government sought out to achieve, and how Louis Farrakhan has carried out every last one of these objectives. However, sisters and brothers, looking at what the Nation of Islam meant for the original black man and woman, and looking at what Louis Farrakhan is claiming that he rebuilt. sisters and brothers, in knowing what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced from what we gave and what he did, took it and produced and gave back to our nation, and how the nation served us, the original black man and woman. Knowing that, sisters and brothers, what the Nation of Islam meant to us, what it gave us, what it provided for us as a people, jobs, the word economic, it provided an economic system for us as a people. So we did not have to rely on another group of people. We didn't have to rely on the devils. We took and had built a nation inside of a nation. Where we brought about our own independence. Our own self-value. Sisters and brothers, food, clothing, and shelter was produced by us for us. We wanted separation. We wanted our own. We had separation. We wasn't begging and asking for what we were producing. We went into motion. The brothers and sisters went into motion. And brought our minds together and produced what we willed for our people. So we had businesses, farmyard, farms, cattle. We had supermarkets. We was importing and exporting. We had our own trucking where we brothers moved with our own trucks products throughout the country. Sisters and brothers, accolades that we use on a daily, that was seen and being spoken on at the temple meetings. The accolades of what was produced, what the brothers had brought online, what the brothers and sisters put together and brought online for us. sisters and brothers. Louis Farrakhan, the son of Perdition, is against and has been against the original black man and woman, against the supreme wisdom lessons, against our vision, against the Abrahamic covenant. Against our rise, against our unity, and sits in our face claiming that he's about bringing peace, making our communities a safe place, when he and Wallace single-handedly, they together destroyed our communities, destroyed our economic system. And Louis Farrakhan, the chief demon legion, the son of Perdition, is sitting in the temple of God and has been for over 42 years, claiming begging with his economic system, sharing that for 42 plus years he's been taking money for this economic system. That he's going to rebuild the Nation of Islam, or a replica of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built. However, sisters and brothers, he's never done that. He doesn't own no apartment buildings, no homes, no jobs, no businesses. Nothing has been produced. However, if you pay attention to the objectives, he's not to produce a situation. He can't produce that. He's not to produce a place that we can be our own. That we can. He's to take away, to keep us from wanting separation, to keep us from wanting our own. That's why he's selling and has been selling us to love this devil. To vote, to use the devil's jobs, all while claiming that He's speaking for the original black man and woman. Sisters and brothers, the chief demon Louis Farrakhan Legion is speaking on behalf of his devil fathers, on behalf of the synagogue of the Satan, the Jews, because he is a Jew. The scripture shares with us that he is the son of perdition, a man of sin. So, looking at this, sisters and brothers, he's the seed of a devil. The devils are made weak and wicked. Now, can you reform a devil? No. Sisters and brothers, the Supreme Wisdom Lessons shares this with us. Knowing that Louis Farrakhan is the seed of a Caucasian, knowing that he has the nature of his father, knowing that you cannot change his nature, and that the devils are weak and wicked by nature, by their nature, then you know that that Louis Farrakhan's nature is the nature of his devil father. So, sisters and brothers, see what we is on time. All right. Louis Farrakhan says he's rebuilt the Nation of Islam. Question, sisters and brothers, that you need to ask yourself. If you ask yourself these questions, and you find out the answer to these questions, comes out to be no. Has Louis Farrakhan truly rebuilt the Nation of Islam? Question. Has he produced an economic system that is self-reliant outside of the use of the devils? Has he produced jobs for the communities, the community, the members? No. Does he even with the, does he own a print press? Does he make his own papers? Does he print his own papers? No. Does he have providing Angus beef and farmland and supermarkets over the country, businesses and homes, and has he produced any of these things that the Nation of Islam had up under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Is he producing jobs, food, clothing, shelter? Is he any of these things? Does he have a trucking company? Is he moving food and product throughout the country, taking it to businesses, nation businesses throughout the country? No. Not you can't even begin, not on no level, to say that Louis Farrakhan has rebuilt the Nation of Islam. Rebuilt it how? When none of the accolades, not one, none of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced for the Nation of Islam has Louis Farrakhan produced. However, up under the Nation of Islam, up under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, sisters and brothers, your communities were safe because we were in our communities. We protected our communities. Our communities was respected. The Nation of Islam was respected. The brothers were respected. We took care of our own. It was ours. The businesses, the homes. We worked them. So, sisters and brothers, to say Louis Farrakhan states that, we're to make our communities a safe place to live. When he hasn't put he hasn't put not one job in the community. He's running around, him and his son, millionaires. And there's no jobs. Elijah Muhammad wasn't running around a millionaire, and the Nation of Islam didn't have. Sisters and brothers, to sit or to stand or to think that Louis Farrakhan rebuilt the Nation of Islam. To understand what a nation is, just knowing what food, clothing, and shelter is and how it produces the freedom and the responsibility and the safety and all these things comes with producing a self-sustained area, place that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced for the nation. Sisters and brothers, with that, we can understand how confused and deceived we are by the information that we're being given. The way that you're processing let me say it like this, sisters and brothers. We've been told, and you really, been made to think that what Louis Farrakhan has produced is a nation. You've been told this. And I'm a the counterintelligence program gives his objectives that he has to a guideline to be followed that he is following. That he's adhering to is against us having a nation. But he's then Louis Farrakhan has used his mouth to make the original black man and woman think that they have a nation. That they, I mean, sisters and brothers, we look at and know what, if you look, what the Nation of Islam was, and what the destruction of the Nation of Islam, how it affected the original black man and woman. How the destruction of the Nation of Islam affected us as a people here in America, our nation, the original black man and woman's nation. And for one to sit in his objectives shares with him that he cannot produce. There can be a place we cannot think separation. These are the conditions, the objectives in the counterintelligence these are the objectives. We're supposed to be these are objectives only to think to make us better citizens of America. These objectives that devils ain't devils. So he's telling us devils ain't devils no more. And he shares that we're not going nowhere. That's to keep us from ever wanting separation. Sisters and brothers, the son of perdition is sitting in the temple of God. The man of sin, the son of hell, the son of the synagogue of the Satan. Louis Farrakhan is a Caucasian white man and a Jew. He's a direct seed of the synagogue of the Satan. He's a Sephardic Jew by nature. His ancestry, his heritage, he is a Jew who is sitting in the temple of God, opposing himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he's God, he's the Messiah, he's a young God. Think on that, sisters and brothers. He assisted in the destruction of the Nation of Islam and is sitting in the temple of God, making sure that it was never rebuilt. making sure that you didn't have an economic system for yourselves, keeping you from having a safe community, a respected community, a place of your own that you produce for yourself, brought in your ideas, your ways, your jobs, in your areas. All that was destroyed when the Nation of Islam was destroyed. And Louis Farrakhan, the son of Perdition, the son of a devil, is sitting in the temple, sitting in Elijah's seat, carrying out every objective on the counterintelligence program. And all the objectives share, the objectives is they can't keep them from ever wanting to be separated. These are the objectives. So these are pointing out I'm gonna do this over, man. I can do this a lot better. Understanding. It's just coming to me. All the counterintelligence objectives is what Louis Farrakhan stands on and is pushing, him and his student ministers. They can't produce a nation. They can't produce businesses and everything for you because the counterintelligence program is against them producing. So he's sitting making in the nation, not building nothing, and using his mouth to make you think that you really have something. You don't have a nation. Now, let me say it like that, because when you say it like, sisters and brothers, everything the counterintelligence program points out what they had to do to destroy the Nation of Islam. Louis Farrakhan is pushing and standing on every last one of those counterintelligence objectives, claiming that he wants to produce what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced. However, in 42 years, with far more access to money, he hasn't produced anything. He's claiming that he wants to produce what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced with us. However, He's against the Supreme Wisdom lessons. He's not teaching the Supreme Wisdom lessons. He's not teaching separation. He's not teaching we're going home. He's not teaching we're coming up out of America. No, he's not teaching that we're the gods and that the devils or no, that he's telling us the opposite. He's telling us that we're wicked. We're sinful. Sisters and brothers, we're going to bring this to a close. Before we close it, do you not remember when I was still with you, I restrained with you, I told you these things, and now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of the lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. Sisters and brothers,
and the messenger listened, his jaws tightened, and then he looked and he said, yes, he's getting the fame, so that when he turns hypocrite on me, the whole world will see him. I'm telling you what he said. I died at the table. I mean, it was like he had taken a spoke and drove it right through my heart. I couldn't understand why he said it. I didn't know why he would say something like that to me. I was faithful to him in my own way, I thought. I was obedient to him in my own way, I thought. Why would he say that to me? It is because he knew tomorrow better than I knew yesterday. And I lived through yesterday and don't know what tomorrow is, but that man saw tomorrow. He was the most perfect guy that ever could come to a people, brother and sister. But we blew it, man, because we so hateful of our black selves that we didn't believe that God would dare take a black man and not only make him a messenger, but more than a messenger, deposit in the man himself and make a God out of him for you and me. Now listen, brother, I'm not praying here. That man, Elijah Muhammad, is the most profound individual you will ever meet. I don't give a doggone if you live to be a million. And those of us that walked with him in faithlessness, walked with him in doubt and in suspicion of his divinity, know it better now than we ever knew it while he was among us. We know it now. Look, and I say this with deep humility, man, it pains me to open myself up and see a hypocrite laying inside. But look, how else can a man be healed unless he's opened up to the light and the thing that is in him that is not pleasing to God be removed? You understand? Now here's the messenger looking at me. And because Malcolm told me that the messenger was jealous, and members of the messenger's family had dropped it out that the messenger was jealous, I began to entertain the thought because I couldn't see the future. Now listen. I fought it off, but it was there. Hear this now, beloved. One day in New York, 70,000 people came out to hear.
All right, sisters and brothers. Now here, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way, sisters and brothers. I'm going the wrong way. Now, sisters and brothers, Elijah Muhammad shared it at the table, and Louis Farrakhan is confirming that Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, shared that Louis Farrakhan will be his biggest hypocrite. Shared it. He's telling you the story that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared with them sitting at the dinner table after coming from speaking at a graduate event. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared that, yes, he's getting the fame now, so that when he turns hypocrite on me, the whole world will see him. Sisters and brothers, the ones that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was restraining was already at work. The mystery of the lawlessness, was already at work. The Honorable Elijah, it said, remember when I was still with you, I told you these things. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was restraining them. They were being restrained, and once the one restraining them was taken away or removed, then those that were plotting came to a head. Sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan is the son of perdition. He's the man of sin. He's sinful by nature. This is by biology, science, facts, that the supreme wisdom lesson, sisters and brothers, share with you. What is a devil? So we know what a devil is. When you say, what is the colored man? The Caucasian white man, or Yakub's grafted devil. What is a devil? Answer, a grafted man, which is made weak and wicked. Yakub's grafted devil. Or any grafted live germ from the original is a devil. Now, and can you reform devil? Answer, no. All the prophets have tried to reform him, devil, but were unable, so they have agreed that it cannot be done unless we graft him back to the original man, which takes 600 years. So instead of losing time grafting him back, they have decided to take him off the planet, who numbers only 1 to every 11 original people. Now, sisters and brothers, he said it hates to see, open up the inside of him and see a hypocrite laying inside of him. And then he says, well, Elijah, see, he's seen that so he can change what was on the inside of him. But he's a devil. He can't change his nature. He can't change what's on the inside of him. That's his nature. Then he self-accused. He's always accusing someone else. He's an accuser of our brother. He's always accusing someone else. Oh, now Malcolm made him think this, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's children, they planted this seed, and this is why it's always a reason why someone else calls him to do what he done or is doing. He just like a devils never take responsibility for what they done or doing. No, it's always someone else. Someone else caused it. Sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan, the chief demon, is blocking the truth. Blocking, sharing that he wants this on one hand, and on the other hand, he's attacking what he's trying to share with you that he's doing, but he's attacking you on the other hand and against what he's claiming he's doing or what he's for. He's sisters and brothers, is blocking the truth from us. Sisters and brothers, Louis Farrakhan is of the seed of the synagogue of the Satan. He is a Jew himself. He's a Caucasian. He's the son of a Caucasian white man, making him a black-faced Caucasian Portuguese Jew from Portuguese Jew. He's working. He's of the synagogue of the Satan. He's a Agonite. He's the seed of a Jew who is sitting in the temple, sitting in our nation. He's a mole. He's a rat. He's an informant. He's a agent. Sisters and brothers, who will be cast out of the Nation of Islam soon. He will be removed during the war before there's victory or defeat. That means he'll be removed during the war, during this war we're witnessing in the Middle East, before America and Britain is kicked out of the Middle East, before the dragon is kicked out, and before false Israel is sieged and destroyed. Before there's victory or defeat, Louis Farrakhan will be cast down out of the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam will become under the new leadership of the messenger of the covenant. Sisters and brothers, this is what is going to take place. This is what we're witness. This Louis Farrakhan is the son of perdition. The Nation of Islam fell. As the son, don't, let me see. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first. And the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. And he's sitting in the temple of God. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, sisters and brothers. These are facts. And for those that are thinking that a man of sin is working on your behalf, he's working for you, he's going to bring you into the new, or he's going, how, when his nature is against you? He has the nature of your open enemy. With that, sisters and brothers, I'm gonna bring this to an end. I'm gonna do a part 2 of this, and make it a lot clearer. I could, I'm gonna make it a lot clearer. A lot of ideas sprung up, so I'm gonna make it a lot clearer. We'll be doing a part 2 of the son of perdition, Louis Farrakhan. The chief demon who is against our nation, who is blocking the truth from us. And with that, sisters and brothers, I'm going to bring this to a close and greet you as I came in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum.